I open my eyes 15 minutes before the alarm clock rings. An old habit, ingrained over 40 years of work. I listen to my body. My knee is aching but tolerable. My lower back is silent for now. Not a bad morning for a 65-year-old. My left hand habitually reaches for a nearby pillow, but comes up empty. Mary has been gone for 6 years and I still wake up expecting to find her beside me. I get up, moving slowly and carefully, making the bed no creases or twists. Always doing it myself, even when Mary was sick and suggested I hire an assistant. Boyd Crystal doesn't need babysitters, I used to say then. That phrase sounds ironic now. After all, that's what my daughter-in-law Ashley and perhaps even my son Trenton secretly call me. A stubborn old man who needs a babysitter. I shave with a dangerous razor like I've done my whole life. No disposable razors. I observe my face in the mirror. Deep wrinkles, graying, short-cropped hair, a tenacious stare that intimidated negligent developers when I was a building inspector. If Crystal is on the site, expect trouble, they joked, but they never tried to negotiate with me. They knew it was useless. Breakfast oatmeal. No sugar, a little salt and butter. I drink strong black coffee. I turn on the little TV in the kitchen, the local news from St. Mary's, our sleepy little town where I've lived all my life, where my son was born, where my Mary is buried. The weather in St. Mary's is expected to be clear today, with temperatures expected to rise to 23 degrees, says the young newscaster, who is old enough to be my granddaughter. I wash the dishes thoroughly. I check the calendar on the refrigerator. Thursday is bill-paying day. Same day every month, same scenario. I sit down at my old desk in the living room. It served me well when I was working on projects at home. I pull out the bills neatly organized in a monthly payments folder. Electricity, water, phone, internet, which I hardly ever use, but Trenton insisted on staying connected. Home insurance, health insurance, all in order, all under control. I notice an envelope I don't remember putting in the folder. First National Bank of St. Mary's logo. That's odd. I don't do business with that bank. My pension goes into an account at Community Trust, where I've been for 30 years. I open the envelope with a box cutter, carefully cutting along the fold line. Inside is a monthly loan payment notice. In my name. $385,000. I reread the document 3 times before I realize its contents. A real estate loan made 3 weeks ago. First payment due in 1 week. The annual rate is 6.7%. Term is 30 years. My hands start to shake, and I put the paper down on the table. 30 years? I'm 95 when I have to pay off this loan? This is ridiculous. I never took out this loan. My first impulse was to call the bank and report the fraud. But something makes me stop. Something very unpleasant is scrabbling at the edge of my consciousness. I get up, go to the kitchen, pour a glass of water, return to the table. Signature. My signature on a document. Or very much like it. I pull out of my desk drawer an old insurance policy with my signature on it. I compare it. There are differences, but they're minor. A person unfamiliar with my handwriting wouldn't know the difference. But who would forge my signature? And why? The thought comes to me, but I dismiss it. It can't be. My son wouldn't. Trenton's an only child, late. Mary and I almost gave up hope when she got pregnant at 41. He was always the center of the universe to us, even if I didn't know how to show it the way she did. Mary was soft, patient. I was demanding, rigid. The world won't forgive his mistakes just because he's our son, I told her when she thought I was being too hard on the boy. Trenton grew up to be a pretty good man. Not as driven as I'd hoped, but decent. At least that's what I thought until he married Ashley 5 years ago. Ashley Baird, now Ashley Crystal, came into Trenton's life when he was 32. She worked in the supply department of the company where he was a systems administrator. She was beautiful, smart, and ambitious. Too ambitious, in my opinion. Mary was sick by then, stage 3 breast cancer. We fought, but deep down inside, I knew we were going to lose this battle. Trenton brought Ashley to meet her when Mary was in remission. She accepted the girl warmly, like everything in her life. I was more reserved. Something in Ashley's eyes alerted me. Something cold, calculating, but I kept quiet. I saw how happy my son was, how happy Mary was for him. I didn't want to mar the last months of my wife's life with my suspicions. They were married 2 weeks before Mary died. The ceremony was in the hospital chapel. Mary sat in a wheelchair, exhausted from chemotherapy, but happy. She went in peace, knowing that our son would not be alone. After she died, everything changed. Trenton started visiting me less often. Ashley, if she came with him, she was always in a hurry to leave. Conversations became strained, awkward. It was like a wall had grown between us. A year ago on Trenton's birthday, when we were alone in the kitchen, I asked him bluntly, "What's going on between us, son?" He avoided my gaze, shifting forks in a drawer. "Nothing, Dad. Just a lot of work, you know." "Your wife doesn't love me," I said then. "And it's affecting you." Trenton finally looked at me, irritation in his eyes. "That's the kind of statement that drives us away, Dad. You always think you know best, that you see right through people. She just has a hard time with your personality." My personality? I felt an old grudge rising up inside. Or the fact that I'm not going to sign the house over to you like she implied last month. She never, Trenton started but stopped talking when Ashley came into the kitchen with a fake smile. "What are you boys whispering about?" she asked, putting her arm around her husband's shoulders. Since then, our meetings had become even more infrequent and awkward. Back to the letter from the bank in front of me. Could Trenton have done something like this? Or Ashley? She had access to my files when she helped me sort through the paperwork after Mary died. She could see my signature samples. I'm dialing my son's number. It's ringing. 1, 2, 3. No answer. I call again. Same thing. I send a text. "Trenton, I need to talk to you." Urgent. I wait an hour. 2. By lunchtime, I decide to go to their house. They rent an apartment in North Street. Mary's. It's not the most upscale neighborhood, but it's decent enough. On their combined income as a system administrator and a supply clerk, they could afford something better, or even their own little house. But Ashley always said they were saving up for something special, rolling my old Ford out of the garage. Mary had always teased me about my attachment to that car. "You'll be old and it'll still run," she'd say, and so it was. The drive takes 20 minutes. I pull up to their apartment building, park. Trenton's car isn't in its usual spot. I go up to the 3rd floor, ring the doorbell. No answer. I knock. Silence again. I go downstairs, see the concierge, an older African-American man named Roy. We'd seen each other a few times when I was visiting my son. "Good afternoon, Mr. Crystal," he greets me. "Looking for Trenton?" "Yes, Roy. You haven't seen him today?" Roy shakes his head. "Not today. He and Mrs. Crystal left early yesterday morning. They looked excited. They were carrying some files." "Do you have any idea where they were going?" "No, sir. But Mrs. Crystal mentioned something about meeting with a realtor." "Maybe they finally found their dream home?" Roy smiles. "They've been saying for a long time that they wanted to move to a better place. Realtor, dream house, $385,000 loan in my name." I thank Roy and walk outside. I get in my car, but I don't start the engine. I need to think. If Trenton and Ashley are really buying a house using a loan in my name, but why? They have jobs, steady incomes. Why go on a crime spree? Unless it's more than they can afford. Unless the house is worth way more than they can afford. Decided to pay a visit to an old friend. Gordon Pierce used to work with me in building inspection and then retired to real estate. If anyone knows about the big real estate deals in St. Mary's, it's him. Gordon receives me in his small office on Main Street. Gray-haired, neat beard, thin-rimmed glasses. He looks like a kindly grandfather from an insurance company commercial. But behind that facade is a sharp mind and an incredible memory for detail. "Boyd Crystal, what brings you here?" he exclaims, shaking my hand. "Last seen you at the Municipal Veterans Christmas Party?" "That's right," I confirm, sitting down in the chair across from his desk. "Gordon, I need information, and it's confidential." The smile fades from his face, and he turns serious. "What's wrong?" I show him the letter from the bank. "I didn't take out that loan. I think my son and his wife did. I want to know what property the money went to." Gordon scrutinizes the document, then looks at me over his glasses. "Are you sure you want to know?" "Absolutely. He sighs, turns to the computer. Give me a few minutes. Gordon types something, reviews the information on the screen, frowns. Finally turns to me. House on Crestview Drive, 12. Sold a week ago for $370,000. The buyer is Boyd Crystal. He pauses. Boyd, this is one of the most exclusive neighborhoods. Lakeview, almost an acre lot. The house itself, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, living room with fireplace, dining room, study, terrace. I see, I interrupted. Who's the seller? The listing was with Premium Properties. The agent is Veronica Quinn. I know that name. Young, aggressive businesswoman. We've crossed paths at city events. Thank you, Gordon. One more question. Has the deal closed yet? Have the keys been turned over? According to the record, yes. Closing was 3 days ago. He's looking at me with concern. What are you going to do? I stand up, pull on my jacket. Haven't decided yet, but thanks for your help. I walk out of Gordon's office with a heavy heart but a firm resolve. Now I know where to look for answers, and I'm going to get them, no matter what it takes. On my way home, I stop at the police station. I go inside, ask to see a detective. A young officer named Nolan takes me in, listens to my story, looks over my paperwork. Minus Mr. Crystal, this is a serious charge. Identity theft, forgery, especially if the suspects are members of your family. Would you like to file a formal complaint? I'm thinking about it. If I file now, it could start a process that can't be stopped. Trenton and Ashley could end up behind bars. My only son is a criminal. Not yet, I answer. I need more information. Maybe there's some explanation. Officer Nolan nods understandingly. I'd talk to the bank if I were you. Find out the details of the loan processing. Who applied for it? Who did the credit evaluation? There might be some clues there. I thank him for his advice and leave, deciding to visit First National Bank tomorrow morning. Today I have some thinking to do. And maybe check out that mysterious house on Crestview Drive. In the evening, as the sun begins to sink, I drive to the address given. Crestview Drive is on the west side of town, on a hill overlooking Lake St. Mary's. The location alone speaks volumes about the value of real estate here. I pull up to house number 12 and stop across the street. It's a 2-story colonial-style building with white columns and a large veranda. Immaculate lawn, young maples around the perimeter of the property. The windows are dark. No one seems to be inside. There's a new SUV in the driveway that I don't recognize. It's not Trenton's car. Maybe they've already bought a new car in addition to the house. I sit in my Ford, watching the house for almost an hour. No movement. It's starting to get dark. I decide to return home and continue my investigation tomorrow. I don't get much sleep at night, going over my options in my head. Could it be some kind of mistake? A coincidence of names? But the signature looked too much like mine, and Roy's words about meeting with the realtor. The next morning, I go straight to First National Bank. I introduce myself, ask to see the loan officer. I'm ushered into a small office where I'm greeted by a smiling middle-aged woman. Minus Mr. Crystal, how can I help you? I show her the loan letter. I want to know the details of this loan. I didn't take it out. The smile disappears from her face. She takes the document, checks something on the computer. Wait a minute, I'll find the information on your case. Several minutes of tense waiting pass. Finally, she raises her eyes from the screen. Minus Mr. Crystal, the loan was processed 2 weeks ago. The application was submitted online. Then the paperwork was signed in person at our Oak Street branch. She pauses. The system indicates that the documents were signed by Boyd Crystal, who presented a driver's license. The signature was verified by a member of our staff and found a match. I've never been to your Oak Street branch, I say firmly. And I've never signed any documents. She looks alarmed. In that case, Mr. Crystal, there may have been a fraud. You should go to the police. I want to know exactly who did the transaction, and if there's any security footage. That information is confidential. We can only provide it if the police request it. I realize this is as far as I'm going to go. I thank the manager and leave the bank, even more convinced of my suspicions. I get in my car and dial my son's number. Again, no answer. I send a message. I know about the Crestview house. We need to talk. The reply comes almost instantly. I don't know what you mean. I'll call you back later. I'm in a meeting right now. Lies. The first direct lie from my son. It hurts more than I expected. I decide to take action. I go to the bank branch on Oak Street. I ask to see the manager, show him the loan letter and my real driver's license. I didn't sign those documents. Someone used a fake ID. I want to see the surveillance footage from the day I signed. The manager, an older man with tired eyes, shakes his head. Without a request from the police, I can't provide you with those tapes. Then I'm going to the police right now, I reply. And when I return with the officers, you'll have to explain why your bank made the loan based on false documents. It works. The manager asks me to wait and goes to another office. He comes back in 15 minutes. The documents were signed on the 15th at 11:30 in the morning. I looked at the tape. He pauses as if hesitant to continue. Minus Mr. Crystal, the man on the tape looks a lot like you, but younger, and there was a woman with him. My heart sinks. Trenton and Ashley. No more doubts. Thank you, I say. That's enough. I walk out of the bank, feeling a strange mixture of anger and devastation. My own son, my blood. How could he? It's 7 o'clock at night, and I'm still sitting in my car in front of the bank, clutching the steering wheel so hard my knuckles are white. I can't get my head around what happened. My son, who has always struck me as a weak-willed but decent man, has gone on a crime spree. Identity theft, credit card fraud. All of these things carry several years in prison. I start the car and slowly drive home, trying to calm down and think rationally. Maybe Trenton had some kind of explanation. Maybe Ashley forced him. Or is there something I don't know? Stopping at a stoplight, I notice a familiar car in the next lane. Trenton's blue Honda Civic. Ashley's behind the wheel, my son next to her. They're talking animatedly, not noticing me. The traffic light turns green, and their car turns right toward the mall. Impulsively, I decide to follow them. I wait a few seconds to avoid being right behind them and turn. Their Honda is parked in a parking lot near Home Depot, a home improvement store. I park in the far corner, where I can clearly see the front door, and wait. Trenton and Ashley come out of the store 40 minutes later. He's pushing a cart loaded with boxes of paint, rollers, brushes, and other repair supplies. Ashley walks beside him, busily explaining something to him and showing him something on her phone. Probably pictures or design ideas. They look happy, excited, like a young couple setting up their first nest. Except it's not their nest. It's a house they bought with money they stole from me. They load their purchases into the trunk and drive off. I don't follow them. I've already had my suspicions confirmed. They're renovating a house on Crestview Drive in preparation for the move, a house I'll be paying off the mortgage on if I don't stop this farce. I get home after dark. The house greets me with emptiness and silence. I turn on the light in the hallway, hang my jacket on the hook, take off my shoes. Mechanical actions repeated 1,000 times. But today it feels different, like I'm a stranger in my own home. I go to the kitchen, pull out the bottle of whiskey I keep for rare meetings with old friends. I pour 2 fingers into the glass and take a sip. The liquid burns my throat, but it's a good pain. It helps me focus. The phone in my pocket vibrates. A message from Trenton. Dad, sorry, been busy all day. What's that house on Crestview you mentioned? Still lying. Keeps playing the game, thinking I don't know anything for sure. I decide to play along. Heard from a realtor, I know that the house there sold in my name. Strange, isn't it? A few minutes pass before the reply comes. Very strange. Must be a namesake or a mistake in the paperwork. I'll stop by tomorrow and discuss it. Lies on top of lies. I finish my whiskey and go into my office. I take out a folder with important documents from the safe. Will, insurance, house and car papers. Everything's in perfect order. I go through the papers, looking for a clue, anything that might explain how Trenton and Ashley managed to get a loan in my name. Suddenly I notice there's no copy of my driver's license, which I've always kept here in case I lost the original. Also missing is a copy of my birth certificate. I double-check. Definitely not. When was the last time I saw them? A few months ago when I renewed my car insurance. They were there. Somebody took them, and I have a pretty good idea who. 3 months ago, Ashley showed up alone without Trenton. Said she was in the neighborhood for work and thought she'd stop by. I was surprised. She'd never visited me alone before. We drank tea in the kitchen, talked about nothing. At one point, she asked to use the bathroom. She was gone, it seemed to me, longer than usual. Maybe that's when she broke into my office. I put the files back in the safe, locked it. I feel betrayed, used. Anger rises in waves, but I suppress it. This is no time for emotion. It's time to be calculating. The next morning, Trenton calls. Dad, I'll stop by in 2 hours, okay? Ashley says hi. I'll be waiting, I say in as neutral a tone as possible. I use the time to call my old friend Arthur Sawyer, a retired lawyer. I explain the situation. Boyd, this is a serious matter, he says after a long pause. If you file a police report, your son and daughter-in-law could face real jail time. I know that. Are you ready for that? That's a tough question. Am I ready to send my own son to jail? I'm not sure, Art, but I want to know all the options. Arthur sighs. Options. You can go to the police right now, or you could try to solve the case within the family. Get them to admit guilt, pay back the loan, sell the house. But keep in mind, if they've already committed such a crime, there's no guarantee they'll stop. What do you mean by that? Think about it, Boyd. Why would they put a loan in your name? They got jobs, income. Probably not enough for a house like this, but they could have taken out a normal mortgage in their own names. Why go on the offense, I wonder? Really, why? Maybe they wouldn't have passed a credit check. Bad credit history. Maybe, or... Arthur pauses. Or they don't plan on paying off that loan, Boyd. That's the thought that hits me over the head. They don't plan on paying it off, but then, you think they're counting on it being paid out of my inheritance when I die? Or something like that. Boyd, I don't want to scare you, but be careful. And think about protecting yourself legally. Maybe change the will. Appoint an outside executor who's not connected to your family. I promise to think about it, and I'm done talking. My mind is racing. Do my son and his wife really want me dead? Or at least counting on her for their financial plans? Trenton arrives at 11 sharp, alone without Ashley. It's unusual in recent years. They've always shown up together, as if she controlled his every move. Hi, Dad. He hugs me when he meets me, awkward and brief as always. How are you? Alive and well, I answer. And you, how's work? It's fine. He walks into the kitchen and sits down at the table. So what about the house on Crestview? Where'd you get that information? I watch him, noting small details. His eyes run a little, his fingers tapping on the countertop. He's nervous. He knows he's cornered, but he's still trying to get out of it. You really want to know, Trenton? I ask him calmly. He visibly tenses up. Of course I do, Dad. There must be some mistake or misunderstanding. I silently pull a letter from the bank about the loan out of the folder on the table and place it in front of him. This came to me yesterday. A loan for $385,000 made out in my name. I didn't take it out. Trenton pales as he looks at the document, opens his mouth, closes it. Clearly doesn't know what to say. I was at the bank, I continue. Talked to the manager. I looked at the security tapes. You know what I saw? You and Ashley. You were impersonating me, using fake IDs. That's fraud, Trenton. It's a felony. Dad, I can explain. His voice is shaking. You can? I cross my arms over my chest. Then explain it. I listen intently. Trenton takes a deep breath, as if gathering his strength. Ashley and I. We wanted a house. A nice house in a nice neighborhood. For the kids, you know. But the banks wouldn't give us a mortgage. Ashley had credit problems in college, and my salary wasn't enough for that kind of money. So you decided to steal my identity? My voice is as cold as ice. We weren't going to steal. Trenton raises his voice, then falters. We planned to pay off the loan ourselves, honestly. Just used your name because you have a perfect credit history and a high pension. Who was supposed to pay off the loan if you couldn't? If you lost your job? Got sick? I lean closer. Or if I died, Trenton? Did you count on that too? He averts his gaze, and that's all I need to know. They were really counting on my inheritance, on my death. It was Ashley's idea, he finally says quietly. She said it was a win-win. If everything goes well, we'll pay off the loan ourselves. If not, well, you're not old enough, and I'll inherit the house anyway. The loan will be paid off out of your estate. I feel a chill go down my spine. My own son discussed my death as a financial opportunity. And you agreed to this plan? I ask, trying to remain calm. Trenton looks ashamed. I know it sounds awful, but Ashley's a persuasive person. She told me you'd want us to have a nice house, that we're going to inherit after you anyway. So why not use that money now when we need it? Did it ever occur to you to just ask me for help? I ask, feeling the anger rising up inside again. I could give you the money for a down payment, or co-borrow. Ashley said you'd say no, that you always thought I wasn't responsible enough, that you'd control my every move if you gave me the money. And she's right, of course, I chuckle bitterly. You really are irresponsible. So much so that you went on a crime spree instead of just talking to me. Trenton jumps up from his chair. You're always like this, always judging, always knowing better. Never tried to understand me or support me. Support you in what? Cheating? I'm getting up too. I've worked honestly all my life. I taught you values, integrity. And you betrayed all that. Betrayed me. I didn't mean to. Trenton's voice trembles. I really didn't mean to. But Ashley, you don't know what she can be. She said she'd leave me if I didn't do it, that she'd find a stronger, braver man. And you chose her over your honor, not me. We stand across from each other, separated not only by a table, but by a gulf of betrayal that cannot be bridged. What now? Trenton finally asks. Are you going to go to the police? I sigh, feeling suddenly tired. I don't know. I need to think about it. And you need to go. And get your wife away from my house. Daddy, go away, Trenton. Just go. He stands there for a few more seconds, like he wants to say something. But then he turns around and walks out of the kitchen. I hear the front door slam, then the sound of the engine starting. I sink back into the chair, feeling devastated. My son, my blood. How did we come to this? In the evening, I drive to Crestview Drive. I stop on the opposite side of the street and watch the house. The lights are on inside. Trenton's car's in the driveway. They're in there, setting up the nest they bought with the money they stole from me, probably discussing how much longer I have left to live. The thought brings another wave of anger, but now there's something else mixed in. Determination. They don't deserve this house. They don't deserve a happy life built on betrayal. The next day, I call my friend Gordon Pierce. Gordon, I need information on the house on Crestview Drive. All the deeds, plans, ownership history, anything you can find. Boyd, what's going on? You can hear the concern in his voice. I'll handle the situation, I said, but I need your help. Gordon sighs. Okay, I'll look into the archives. I'll call you back. Then I call Arthur Sawyer. Art, I need some legal advice. If the house was bought in my name using a stolen identity, who owns it legally? Technically to you, Arthur answers after a pause. If the loan is in your name and the house is bought with that money, then according to the documents, the owner is you. But if you go to the police with a report of identity theft, the situation becomes more complicated. The bank can demand a refund. The house can be seized as a fraudulent item. Oh, what if I don't go to the police? What if I just, take the house as my own? Boyd, Arthur's voice grows wary. What's on your mind? Just considering my options, Art. Thanks for the advice. I hang up the phone and sit at the kitchen table, thinking about a plan. They stole my identity, used my name. Maybe we should take advantage of that? If the house is legally mine, why not do the right thing? Phone rings, it's Gordon. Boyd, I got the info on the house. It's an interesting story. The house was built in 1980. First owner was James Hoggart, a local businessman. After his death, the house passed to his daughter, who sold it 5 years ago to the Burroughs family. They divorced and the house went on the market 3 months ago. He pauses. There's something else. The house needed major repairs, so the price was reduced. It was estimated to be worth $100,000 more in good condition. I see it, and I say, and the layout. Do you have access to the blueprints? Yes, I can send you copies from the archives. But why do you need them? I just want to know what I've been dragged into, I say. Thank you, Gordon. After I talk to Gordon, I go to the municipality, to the land department. Deborah Fisher, who used to work with me in building inspection. She's surprised to see me, but happy to see an old colleague. Boyd, Crystal, haven't seen you in ages. To what do I owe the pleasure? I explained that I bought a house on Crestview Drive, and I'd like to see the full site plans, utilities, property lines. I didn't know you were moving, Deborah says, looking through the database. Crestview is an upscale neighborhood. I thought I'd treat myself in my old age, I say with a smile that's hard to give. Deborah finds all the necessary documents and makes copies. I study the plans carefully, noting the location of water, sewer, and electrical lines. The information could be useful. There's one more thing, I say. I need a duplicate copy of the house keys. The originals got lost in the move. Who in town can do it from the lock code? Deborah's thinking. Try Ed Towers on Maple Street. He works with most real estate agencies. If you have the lock code and the deed to the house, he'll make duplicates. I thank her and walk away, feeling a plan forming in my head. Not for revenge, for justice. If the house is legally mine, I have every right to own it. Let Trenton and Ashley reap the rewards of their actions. On my way home, I stop by Ed Towers, the locksmith. I show him the deed to the house and explain the situation. Almost truthfully. I tell him that my son and daughter-in-law are in the process of renovating the house I bought, but I want to surprise them and check on the progress. Ed, an older man with sly eyes, nods understandingly. Young people always think they know best. Sometimes you gotta show them who's the real boss, huh, Boyd? I just smile back. Ed makes duplicate keys using the lock code I got from Deborah from the municipal records. I pay for the service and leave, feeling the weight of the new keys in my pocket. Keys to a house that legally belongs to me, even though I never planned to buy it. At home, I sit down at my desk and start writing out a plan of action. Item by item, methodical. Like I always do at work. There's no point in acting on impulse. Trenton and Ashley need to learn a lesson they'll remember for a long time. I'm not going to send them to prison. No matter how painful their treason, Trenton's still my son. But I can't let them get away with it either. They stole my identity, used my name, counted on my death for their financial plans. Well, let them find out what it's like to have your plans ruined by your own greed and stupidity. By midnight, the plan is ready. I reread the notes, make adjustments, think of possible complications. Everything has to be perfect. No legal repercussions for me, maximum impact for them. They wanted a house? Well, they're not going to get it, at least not the way they planned. I go to bed feeling like I have a purpose for the first time in a long time. Something to get the blood flowing faster through my veins. Perhaps at 65, life is just beginning, especially if you have someone to teach a good lesson. For the next 2 weeks, I live a double life. By day, I'm a regular retired Boyd Crystal, doing chores, grocery shopping at the supermarket, browsing newspapers in the park. In the evenings, however, I turn into a shadowy landlord on Crestview Drive. My old connections prove invaluable. Jenny Morrow, who works for the city's power company, gives me information about connecting the electricity. It turns out that Trenton and Ashley have already applied to transfer the personal account into Boyd Crystal's name. In my name, of course. That plays right into my hands. Boyd, there's some confusion here, Jenny says, looking through the paperwork on her computer. The application was filed a week ago, but there's a different contact number. There is a mix-up, I agree. You see, my son is helping me with the application, so he may have given me his number to contact him. But the account must be in my name, that's right. Jenny nods understandingly. Of course, Mr. Crystal. You're the owner of the house now. Let's fix the contact information. I dictate my phone number to her, and she makes the change to the system. From now on, all notifications for the house will come directly to me. By the way, Jenny, can I ask you a favor? I don't want my son to know I'm coming here. It's a family matter. He's trying so hard to help, I don't want to offend him by taking control. Jenny smiles. I understand, Mr. Crystal. My son is the same way. He wants to do everything himself, even when he doesn't quite know what he's doing. Don't worry, it'll stay between us. I have similar conversations with the water company, the gas company, the internet service provider. Everywhere I present myself as the legal owner of the house, which according to the documents corresponds to the truth, and make changes to the contact information. By the end of the week, all the communications of the house are registered in my name, with my contact information. My next step is a visit to the County Recorder of Deeds office. Here I am assisted by Douglas Martins, with whom we once worked together on the St. Mary's historic downtown redevelopment project. "Boyd, what a surprise," he exclaims when I walk into his office. "What can I do for you?" I explain that I recently purchased a house and would like to make sure the paperwork is correct. Douglas looks at the records and confirms that the house on Crestview Drive is indeed registered in Boyd Crystal's name. "Everything is in order," he says. "The title is clean, no encumbrances except for the mortgage. Congratulations on the purchase." "Thank you, Douglas," I pause. "By the way, can I make some changes to the deed? I'd like to add a clause stating that even with a power of attorney in my name, any foreclosure requires my personal presence." Douglas raises his eyebrows in surprise. "That's an unusual request. Are you afraid that someone will sell your house without your knowledge?" "I'm more of a reassurance," I replied. "At my age, it's better to consider all options." "I understand," Douglas nods. "It's possible, but it would have to be notarized. We have a notary in the building." An hour later, I'm out of the office with documents that guarantee that no one can sell the house without my personal presence. Not even Trenton with forged documents. The next step in my plan is to visit the house. I pick a time when Trenton and Ashley are definitely at work. I drive up to the house on Crestview Drive, park across the street, and watch for a while. No movement. I take out the keys I made from Ed Towers and walk determinedly to the front door. The key goes into the lock perfectly, turning without resistance. The door opens, and I step for the first time into a house that legally belongs to me, even though I never planned to buy it. Inside, it smells like fresh paint and construction dust. Renovations are clearly in full swing. The walls in the living room are painted a light gray, and there is a protective film on the floor. The kitchen is partially dismantled. Apparently, it is planned to install new furniture. There are several bedrooms on the second floor, the main one with a large bed and two bedside tables, the only furniture in the house so far. I methodically walk around all the rooms, taking photos on my phone, making notes. In the basement, I find boxes of Trenton and Ashley stuff. They've already started moving possessions. In one of the boxes, I find an album of family photos. I flip through it. Trenton as a kid, Mary and me, family vacations. These photos evoke mixed feelings. Nostalgia for a time when my family was real. Bitterness at how things have turned out. But I don't let my emotions distract me from my purpose. In the office on the first floor, I find a folder with the deeds to the house. I look through them, all in my name, signature forged with skill. There's even a copy of my driver's license with Trenton's picture on it. He's my son, and the resemblance is real. But how could the bank teller get us mixed up? I'm 65. Trenton's 37. Perhaps the clerk was inattentive or just didn't want to cause trouble for a valued customer. Here I find a list of scheduled work on the house and an estimate. Furniture delivery is scheduled for next Wednesday, 6 days from now. Perfect time to finalize my plan. Before I leave, I check the locks on all the doors and take a few more pictures. I leave the house as discreetly as I entered. Over the next few days, I prepare for the final part of the plan. I order the services of a locksmith, the elderly Bill Higgins, another old acquaintance who doesn't ask too many questions. He's due Wednesday morning, a few hours before the scheduled furniture delivery. I'm also preparing all the necessary paperwork: title to the house, proof from the bank of a loan in my name, new utility contracts, anything that proves the house belongs to me. Boyd Crystal. Tuesday night, I call Trenton. He doesn't answer right away, voice sounding wary. "Hey, Dad, how you doing?" "Pretty good," I say. "It's been a while. I thought I'd stop by tomorrow, around 3. Will you be home?" There's a pause. I can almost physically feel Trenton frantically searching for an excuse. "Tomorrow. Tomorrow's hard, Dad. We got plans." "What kind of plan?" I ask in an innocent tone. Deliveries. We ordered new furniture for the apartment. We're waiting for the delivery guys." Lies. Lies again. The furniture isn't going to their apartment. It's going to a house on Crestview Drive. But I'm playing along. "I get it." "Well, maybe some other time then. Say hi to Ashley." "I will, Dad. Bye." "Bye." He's clearly relieved to be done talking. He doesn't realize I know exactly what they're doing tomorrow. Wednesday morning, I arrive at Crestview Drive by 8 o'clock. Bill Higgins is already waiting for me in his shabby van. "Morning, Boyd. Long time no see." He greets me with a smile. "You ready for work?" "Morning, Bill. I'm all set. I just need to change the locks on all the doors. Full confidentiality as agreed." Bill winks. "You got it. Ex-wife's trying to make a comeback, huh?" I don't correct his assumption, just smile wryly. Let her think what she wants. We enter the house and Bill gets to work. By 10 o'clock, all the locks are changed and I'm the only one with new keys. I pay Bill generously in cash and he leaves, still chuckling at the imaginary situation with his ex-wife. Left alone, I begin to set the scene. I put framed pictures in prominent places. Pictures of me that I took from home. I hang a few shirts and suits in my closet, put toiletries on the bathroom shelves. Everything needs to look like I've already started living here. In the refrigerator, which is already plugged in, I put food, milk, cheese, vegetables. I make tea, leave a cup on the coffee table in the living room. I spread newspapers and magazines on the couch. Make the space feel lived in. By noon, everything is ready. I go up to the second floor and watch the street from my bedroom window. At exactly 1 o'clock, the furniture company's truck pulls up, followed by Trenton's blue Honda Civic. Trenton and Ashley get out of the truck, both smartly dressed and excited. Ashley explains something animatedly to the movers, and Trenton nods in agreement. I go downstairs and wait in the living room, sitting in the only chair that was already there. I hear Ashley go to the door, trying to put the key in the lock. The key won't go in. The locks are new. "Trenton, the key doesn't fit," came her irritated voice. "Are you sure you got the right one?" "Of course it's the right one," my son replies. "Let me try it." I hear him fiddling with the lock. "That's strange. Maybe it's jammed. Or is the lock defective?" Ashley tries it again, then knocks on the door as if expecting someone to open it. I wait a few more seconds, then slowly walk over to the door and swing it open. Trenton and Ashley are standing on the doorstep, both with looks of utter surprise on their faces. Behind them are two movers with a couch. "Oh, you didn't expect to see me here, did you?" I say, looking straight into my sister-in-law's eyes. Ashley pales, her mouth open in silent shock. Trenton looks like he's seen a ghost. Dad?" he stutters. "What are you doing here?" "I live here," I answer calmly. "In my house." Ashley's the first to come to her senses. "Minus Mr. Crystal, there's been some kind of misunderstanding. This house was purchased in my name," I interrupt. "With a loan in my name." "That's correct. Except, unlike you, I'm really Boyd Crystal." Trenton takes a step forward. "Dad, let's talk. Not here, not in front of—" "In front of who?" I interrupt again. "In front of your wife who planned this fraud? Or the movers who don't care?" I turn to the confused employees of the furniture company. "Gentlemen, I'm afraid there's been a mistake. The delivery has been canceled." "But we have an order," one of them begins. I pull out my wallet, taking out two $50 bills. "For your trouble. I think the real customers will contact your company later for rescheduling." The movers look at each other, shrug, take the money and walk away, leaving the three of us at the door. "Come in," I invite. "We really need to talk." Trenton and Ashley hesitantly enter the house. Ashley looks around, noticing my pictures, my stuff. "What's going on?" Her voice shakes. "How did you get in here?" "Keys." I show her the keychain, defiantly. "The owner of the house is entitled to the keys, isn't he?" "But we bought this house," Ashley goes on the offensive. "We have the deed to the house." "Proof of what?" I lean closer to her. "That you committed fraud? Used a stolen identity to get a loan? Forged a signature? All of that carries serious jail time, Mrs. Crystal." Ashley takes a step back, her confidence melting before her eyes. "Dad," Trenton intervenes, "I know what we did was wrong, but we were going to pay off the loan ourselves honestly. You wouldn't have even noticed." "Wouldn't have noticed that I had $385,000 in debt in my name?" I shake my head. "Trenton, what do you take me for? A senile old man out of his mind?" "No, of course not." Trenton looks genuinely upset. "It's just, we just wanted a house of our own, and the banks wouldn't give us a loan. So you decided to steal my identity," my voice gets harder, "use my name, my credit history, my reputation. And then what? Wait for me to die so you could use my inheritance to pay off the loan? Trenton pales, confirming my hunch. It was her idea, he points to Ashley. She said it was the best thing for everyone. Don't you dare put this on me, Ashley shrieks. You agreed to this. You forged the signature. You posed as your father at the bank. They start arguing, accusing each other, completely oblivious to my presence. I watch this outrage for a few minutes. Then I clap my hands loudly. That's enough, my voice silences them. Sit down, both of them. They comply, taking a seat on the only couch in the room. I remain standing, towering over them. The situation is as follows. I begin calmly. This house legally belongs to me. All the paperwork is in my name, the real Boyd Crystal. I've already re-registered all utilities to myself, changed the locks, and added a clause to the property documents stating that any transactions on this property require my personal presence. I pause for a moment. In other words, the house is mine. You can't do that, Ashley exclaims. We've already invested in renovations. We bought the furniture. Really? I raise an eyebrow. Did you ever think I might go to the police to report identity theft? Fraud? About identity fraud? This isn't just a civil dispute, Mrs. Crystal. It's a criminal offense. Ashley falls silent, realizing the gravity of the situation. What are you going to do? Trenton asks quietly. I look at my son. Despite everything that's happened, part of me still sees him as the little boy I taught to ride a bike, who I read bedtime stories to, who I tried to raise to be an honest man. I'm going to live in this house, I said. Since you put it in my name and put a loan on me, I'm going to use the property. Maybe someday I'll decide to sell it and pay off the loan early, or I'll gradually pay off the debt from my pension. Either way, the house is mine. What about us? Trenton asks. What's going to happen to us? You, I shrug. You'll continue to live in your rented apartment, or you'll find another place to live within your means, and you'll thank fate that I didn't go to the police. That's not fair, Ashley cries out, jumping up from the couch. You can't just take away the house we chose, the one we started to renovate. Fair? I step right up to her. Are you talking to me about fair, Mrs. Crystal? After what you did? You discussed my death as a financial opportunity, planning how you get out of debt at my expense. And now you're talking about justice? Ashley backs away, fear flashing in her eyes. We can make a deal, she suggests, changing tactics. We'll pay your rent, or we can take out a new loan to buy the house from you. Why would I do that? I shake my head. I already have a house, and now I have a second one. Maybe I'll rent it out. Just not to you. Dad, please. Trenton looked at me pleadingly. We made a mistake, a terrible mistake, but we can make it right. No, Trenton. My voice is getting softer. Some things can't be fixed. You betrayed my trust, used me, counted on my death. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. And now you will live with the consequences of that choice. I'm going to the door and I'm opening it. Now please leave my house. I have a lot of settling in to do. You're going to regret this, Ashley hisses, walking past me. We're not going to let it go. Careful with the threats, Mrs. Crystal, I replied calmly. I can still change my mind about the police. Trenton lingers on the doorstep. Dad, I don't know what to say. Then don't say anything, I reply. Go. Your wife's waiting. When they leave, I close the door and lean my back against it. My heart beats fast, my hands shake slightly. I did it. I got my revenge. I've regained control of the situation. But instead of satisfaction, I feel empty and tired. The victory was bitter. I won the house, but I lost my son for good. But did I really lose him? Or was he lost to me long ago, from the moment I let Ashley manipulate me, push me into a crime against my own father? I slowly walk around the house that is now truly mine. Big, beautiful, in an upscale neighborhood. Everything Trenton and Ashley could have dreamed of, and everything I don't need at all, but it doesn't matter anymore. It's not about the house. It's about principle. It's about justice, about the lesson they should have learned. I sit down in the living room chair and look out the window at the manicured front lawn. A new chapter of my life is just beginning, and maybe it won't be as lonely as I thought it would be before. I wake up in an unfamiliar bedroom, lost in space for a moment, not realizing where I am. Then the memories return. It's my new house on Crestview Drive, the house I took from my own son and his wife. It's been a week since that memorable day when I met them on the doorstep with new keys in hand. A week of silence, no calls, no messages from Trenton. It's like a heavy curtain has fallen between us. I got out of bed, wincing at the familiar ache in my lower back. I went to the window and pulled back the curtains. The view from here is breathtaking. Green lawns, the manicured gardens of the neighboring houses, and Lake Street, Mary glistening in the distance. I have to admit, Trenton and Ashley picked a great spot. I went down to the kitchen and brewed some coffee. It felt strange, living in a house with only the bare essentials: a bed, a chair, a small table and chair in the kitchen. I'd moved the bare minimum of stuff here, leaving most of it in the old house. I didn't want to rush into a final move until the situation was clear. The phone rings as I finish breakfast. It's an unfamiliar number. Boyd Crystal speaking, I answer. Mr. Crystal, this is Veronica Quinn from Premium Properties. The woman's voice sounds professional, but with a hint of concern. I was the listing agent for a house on Crestview Drive. There's a situation that we need to discuss. Could you meet with me today? Of course, I said yes. Where and when? My office, 2 o'clock in the afternoon? She suggests. I will, I answer briefly and end the conversation. Okay, here we go. Ashley and Trenton decided to go through a realtor. I wonder what they told her. That their old dad conned them out of their house? Or did they confess to their fraud? At 2 o'clock sharp, I walk into the Premium Properties office on Main Street. Glass partitions, designer furniture, pictures of luxury homes on the walls. Everything screams prosperity and success. Veronica Quinn meets me at the entrance, a slender woman in her 40s, wearing a slim suit and impeccably styled hair. Minus Mr. Crystal, thank you for coming. She escorts me into the meeting room. Please have a seat. To my surprise, Trenton and Ashley are already in the room. My son looks exhausted, with dark circles under his eyes. Ashley, on the other hand, is focused and determined, as if preparing for battle. Well, now that we're all here, let me get this straight. Veronica sat down at the head of the table. Minus Mr. Crystal Sr., I've received conflicting information about the purchase of the house on Crestview Drive. Your son and his wife claim that the house was purchased for them, with your consent and financial support. However, have you now, changed your mind? I look at Trenton and Ashley, again with the lies. They continue to build their lives on lies. Minus Miss Quinn, I begin calmly. I'm afraid you've been misled. I never agreed to buy the house. In fact, I didn't even know about the deal until I received notice of the loan payment. Veronica frowns. But the documents were signed by you. I personally checked. Not by me, I interrupt her. My signature was forged, just like my identity when I went to the bank. That's not true, Ashley shrieks. You agreed to help us with the purchase. And now you're trying to reverse it because... Because what, Ashley? I'm turning to her. Because I don't want my identity used for fraud? Because I don't want to pay off a loan for a house that was chosen without my knowledge? Veronica Quinn shifts a confused look from me to Trenton and Ashley. I apologize, but, you're saying there was document fraud? That's correct, I confirm. And I have proof. Surveillance footage from the bank of my son impersonating me. Testimony from employees who can confirm that I never visited the Oak Street branch. He's lying. Ashley jumps up from his chair. He asked Trenton to go to the bank on his behalf. He said he was having trouble getting around, but he wanted to help us with the house. I look at my son. Trenton, are you really going to support this lie? Are you willing to state under oath that I asked you to commit fraud? Trenton lowers his eyes, his shoulders slumping. He doesn't say a word. Tell her, Ashley demands, shoving her husband in the shoulder. Tell her your father said yes. Yeah, I can't, Trenton finally says quietly. It's not true, Ashley. We both know my father didn't know anything. Veronica Quinn looks shocked. Minus Mr. Crystal Jr., do you admit that you participated in the forgery? It was a mistake. Trenton raises his eyes, tears welling up in them. I knew it was wrong, but Ashley wanted this house so badly. Don't you dare take this out on me, Ashley screams. You were totally on board with the plan. You said your father wouldn't even notice the loan, and when he died, the house would still be ours. A heavy silence hangs in the room. Veronica Quinn looks like she wants to fall through the ground. I think I should call our lawyer, she finally says, rising. If you'll excuse me. As the door closes behind her, Ashley turns to me, rage in her eyes. You ruined everything. Everything we could have had. No, Ashley, I shake my head. You ruined it. Your greed, your dishonesty, your willingness to overstep the law for your own gain. What do you care about this house? When she continues. You won't live long enough to pay off the loan anyway. Why would you do that? To punish us? Partly, I admit, but mostly to teach us a lesson. You can't build happiness on lies and fraud. Sooner or later, you have to pay the bills. Ashley opens her mouth to respond, but Veronica returns with an older man in a smart suit. This is Mr. Patel, our company lawyer, she introduces. Given the seriousness of the charges, I've asked him to be present for our conversation. Mr. Patel nods to everyone present and sits down next to Veronica. Suebi. So, as I understand it, we're talking about possible fraud in a real estate transaction? That's right, I confirm. The loan agreement and the house documents were signed not by me, but by my son pretending to be me. That's a serious accusation, the lawyer frowns. Have you contacted the police? Not yet. I was hoping to resolve the matter within the family. Mr. Patel turns to Trenton. Mr. Crystal Jr., do you admit to these charges? Trenton looks shattered. Yes, he answers faintly. Yeah, my wife and I, it was a mistake. Trenton, Ashley exclaimed. What are you doing? I'm telling the truth, Ashley. His voice gets harder. No more lies. We committed a crime. My father has every right to take the house, or turn us into the police. The lawyer shifts his gaze to me. Minus Mr. Crystal, what are your intentions? Do you plan to file a report with law enforcement? I look at my son. Despite everything that's happened, the thought that he could be behind bars hurts me. No, I answer, provided they recognize my ownership of the house and stop any attempts to challenge it. News of the scandal spreads in St. Mary's at the speed of wildfire. It's the same everywhere. Curious stares, whispers, awkward attempts to elicit details. Small town, no secrets here. A week after signing the agreement, I find out Ashley's been fired from her job. The company didn't want her name associated with fraud. Trenton calls me to tell me they're being evicted from their apartment. Owed 2 months' rent, all the money went toward the down payment on the house and repairs. What are you going to do? I ask, feeling a sudden prick of conscience. I don't know, Trenton's voice sounds depressed. Maybe move in with Ashley's parents in Ohio. Everyone's pointing fingers at us here. I don't say anything, thinking about the situation. Revenge has been served, justice has been served. But why do I feel so bad? You can stay in my old house, I say, unexpectedly to myself. I'm moving things here anyway. The house is empty. Trenton doesn't say anything for so long that I start to wonder if the connection's broken. Are you serious? He finally says it. After everything we've done? Not forever, I clarify. Not until you get back on your feet. Find a new apartment, a job for Ashley. Think of it as your father's last gift to you. Thank you. Trenton's voice trembles. But I'm not sure Ashley's gonna go for it. She's really mad at you. It's up to you, I said, ending the conversation. The offer stands. The next few weeks are spent setting up the new house. I'm ordering furniture, gardening, getting to know the neighbors. Trenton tells me that they've accepted my offer. There was no other option. Ashley is adamantly opposed, but the financial situation leaves no choice. Meanwhile, new topics for discussion appear in the city, and the scandal gradually subsides. More and more I find myself thinking that revenge hasn't been as satisfying as I'd hoped. The house for which I am now paying off a huge loan seems to me not a reward but a burden. One evening, while going over the bills in my new office, I get an unexpected call from Trenton. Dad? His voice sounds strange, like he's holding back emotion. Ashley left, took her stuff, and went to her sister's in Cleveland. Why? I asked, surprised not so much by the fact as by the fact that my son had decided to share it with me. She said she couldn't live in a city where everyone knew of her shame, where she has to start from scratch. Trenton pauses. Said I disappointed her, that a real man would have fought for their home to the end. I'm sorry, I say, not knowing what else to say. I'm not, Trenton says suddenly. I feel relieved, like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. All these years I've tried to be everything she wanted me to be, even when it meant overstepping my own principles. We're both silent. Then I dare to ask the question that's been on my tongue for a while. What's next, Trenton? I don't know, he answers honestly. I'll probably file for divorce. I'll try to make a fresh start. You can do it, I say, surprised at the warmth in my voice. You're stronger than you think. After the conversation, I sit in the chair for a long time, staring at the fading sunset. It didn't work out the way I planned. I wanted to punish my son and daughter-in-law, and in the end, I may have done Trenton a favor by ridding him of a toxic relationship. Still, the price seemed too high. The gossip in St. Mary's hasn't stopped. Now they're saying I ruined my son's marriage to get back at my daughter-in-law, that I drove Ashley out of town on purpose. Old friends turn away when they see me. Neighbors whisper behind my back. In the public eye, I've gone from fraud victim to family-destroying villain. But I don't care anymore. I won the house and lost my reputation. Trenton lost his wife, but he may have gained his freedom. Ashley lost everything, but will probably find a new victim to manipulate. Life goes on, and everyone got what they deserved. Although I have to admit, the price was higher than I expected. It's been 3 months since I moved into the house on Crestview Drive. Fall is slowly turning to winter. The trees on the property have shed their leaves, and hoarfrost is appearing on the grass in the mornings. I sit on the porch, wrapped in a warm blanket, and watch the fog rise over Lake St. Mary's. In these moments, I'm almost content with life. Almost. Because even now, months after our last serious conversation, I feel a void where my relationship with my son should be. Trenton still lives in my old house, even though I originally suggested he and Ashley only lived there for a couple months. Ashley hasn't been there for a while, though. We rarely talk. Once a week, on the phone, short conversations about the weather, health, trivia. Neither he nor I bring up anything that hurts. It's as if we have an unspoken pact not to reopen old wounds. The house on Crestview Drive is slowly becoming mine. Truly mine. I replaced the kitchen furniture that Trenton and Ashley had started installing with more practical and elderly-friendly furniture. Repainted the living room walls from a trendy gray to a warm beige. Installed a handrail in the bathroom. Age is taking its toll after all. There are still a few boxes of Trenton and Ashley's stuff in the basement that they never picked up. Sometimes when I go down there to get tools or canned goods, I look at those boxes and think about how quickly a person's life can fall apart. How easy it is to lose everything because of one bad decision. Today is a special day, my 66th birthday. The first birthday without a call from my son. However, the day isn't over yet. Maybe he'll call again, although I'm not sure I want him to. In the evening, the doorbell rings. I'm not expecting guests. Old friends congratulated me on the phone in the morning. I open the door and see Gordon Pierce with a bottle of whiskey in his hand. Happy birthday, old boy. He puts his arm around me, patting me on the back. Did you think you'd spend the day alone? You won't. I smile, genuinely glad to see my friend. Come on in, Gordon, but don't expect a big feast. I haven't prepared for guests. I've thought of everything. He pulls out a folded paper bag from his coat pocket. Sandwiches from that new deli on Oak Street. They say they are the best in town. We go into the kitchen, and I get whiskey glasses and plates for the sandwiches. Gordon looks around, nodding approvingly. You've settled in nicely, Boyd. The house is beginning to look like you. I hope that's a compliment, I grinned, pouring whiskey into glasses. I hope it's a compliment, I grin, pouring whiskey into glasses. Gordon raises his glass. To you, to your 66, to your new life. We clink glasses, take a sip each. The whiskey burns my throat, spreads warmth through my body. It's good whiskey, expensive. Gordon didn't skimp. How's Trenton doing? He asks after a pause, gently, as if he's afraid of hurting a sore spot. He's living in my old house, I said. Same job. Ashley filed for divorce a month ago. Have you talked to him about it? No, I shake my head. I heard from my neighbor, Mrs. Fletcher. She still feels it's her duty to keep me informed about what's going on in the old neighborhood. Gordon nods understandingly. And you? How do you feel about it, I wonder? How do I feel about my son's divorce? The destruction of his family, even if it's such an unreliable one, built on lies and manipulation? I don't know, I answer honestly. On the one hand, Ashley was a toxic woman. She pushed him into crime, exploited his weaknesses. On the other, he chose her, loved her, I guess, in his own way, and now he's alone. So are you, Gordon said. So am I agree. Maybe it runs in the family. We finish our whiskey, eat our sandwiches, talk about the past, about city news, about plans for the future. Gordon tells me he's going to retire next year, move closer to his daughter in Arizona. You're going to miss St. Mary's, I say. This lake, these people. I'll come visit, he says with a wink. To you, to this fancy house. Just invite me. After Gordon leaves, I sit in the chair by the fireplace for a long time, staring at the fire. The birthday party's over, and Trenton hasn't called. I don't know if he forgot or decided it was best not to bother me. Both thoughts hurt. The next morning, I wake up to the doorbell ringing. A delivery man stands on the doorstep with a bouquet of flowers in a small box. Delivery for Mr. Boyd Crystal, he says, holding out the gifts to me. I sign, take the bouquet in the box, and close the door. In the box is cognac, expensive, judging by the label. There's a card attached to the bouquet. Happy birthday, Dad. I'm sorry I didn't call you yesterday. Can we meet? Trenton. My heart clenches. He hadn't forgotten, just didn't know how to approach it. I'm dialing his number. Trenton, thanks for the gift. Dad? I can hear the relief in his voice. Happy birthday. I wanted to call yesterday, but, I wasn't sure you'd want to hear from me. Why would you think that? Because I ruined everything, he says quietly. Our relationship, our trust, everything. I sigh. He's right, but it still hurts to hear it. We can meet, I finally say, if you want to. I really do, I hear hope in his voice. Where and when? We agree to meet at Martha's Cafe downtown. Neutral territory, not my new house or my old one, where he lives now. Martha's is one of the oldest establishments in St. Mary's. I remember it from when I was young, when I used to take Mary here on dates. It hasn't changed much over the years. The same wooden tables, the same checkered tablecloths, the same homemade pies on the menu. Trenton's already waiting for me, sitting at a table by the window. He looks better than he did the last time we met. His cheeks pinker, the dark circles under his eyes gone. He's lost a lot of weight, but it's good for him. Hi, Dad. He stands up as I approach the table. We hug awkwardly, then sit down. You look good, I say, and it's true. Thanks, he smiles slightly. Started running in the mornings and cooking proper food, not the convenience foods I used to. The waitress brings the menu, and we order coffee and a slice of apple pie each. When she leaves, there's an awkward silence between us. How's your new house? Trenton finally asks. It's a good house, I answer. Big for one, of course, but I'm getting used to it. And the old one. Don't you, miss it? I realize he's really asking if I regret my decision, if I want to go back. Sometimes, I'll be honest, there are a lot of memories there. About your mom, about you as a kid, about our family as it once was. Trenton lowers his eyes. I heard you paid off the mortgage on the old house a few years ago. And now you have a new loan, a huge one, because of me. Not just because of you, I shake my head. I could have done things differently, sold the new house, moved back into the old one. But I chose not to. Why not? The waitress brings coffee and pie, interrupting our conversation. We both thank her, wait for her to leave. Because sometimes you have to move forward, I answer, stirring sugar into my coffee. Even if it means making a bad financial decision. Trenton nods as if he understands. We eat the pie in silence for a while, each of us absorbed in our own thoughts. I filed for divorce, he finally says, looking up. Or rather, Ashley did. But I didn't object. I heard, I nod. How are you? He shrugs. It's weird. Empty. But at the same time, lighter? Like a weight has been lifted from my shoulders. No more conforming to her expectations. No more being someone I'm not. She wasn't the right woman for you, I say softly. I know, Trenton smiles weakly. I guess I always knew. somewhere deep inside, but she was just so bright, confident. She knew what she wanted. And I was always searching. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's not much good. He sips his coffee. Soir du. It's too easy to lose yourself when you don't know who you are. That's a wise thought. My son has probably matured more in these months than he has in all the years before. Dad, Trenton looks me straight in the eye. I have to say this. I'm sorry to you. I betrayed your trust. I broke the law. I put you in danger. It's unforgivable, I know. But I apologize. I sincerely do. I look at my son, a 37-year-old man, with the first gray on his temples, wrinkles around his eyes. My boy, my blood. I want to forgive him. I want to tell him it's okay, that we'll start over. But that would be a lie, because it's not all right, and I'm afraid it never will be. I hear you, Trenton, I finally say, and I appreciate what you're saying. But forgiveness takes time. His shoulders slump, but he nods understandingly. I know, and I'm willing to wait as long as it takes. We finish our pie, finish our coffee. The conversation turns to more neutral topics, his job, my plans for the garden at the new house, the latest city news. We both studiously avoid mentioning Ashley or the house on Crestview Drive. When it's time to say goodbye, Trenton suddenly asks, "Can I come visit you sometimes?" At the new house, I hesitate. Am I ready for that? Am I ready to see my son in a house that has come to symbolize his betrayal? Maybe not right away, I answer cautiously. Let's start with meetings like this, on neutral territory, and then we'll see. He nods understandingly, not insisting. We say goodbye at the cafe's exit, hugging awkwardly again. He leaves first and I look after him, feeling a strange mixture of sadness and relief. I walk back home, even though it's a long way. I need time to think, to reflect on our meeting. The weather is clear but cold, a typical late November in St. Mary's. The city is preparing for winter, for Christmas, for New Year's Eve. Holiday decorations have already appeared in storefronts, and a huge Christmas tree is being put up in the main square. We used to always celebrate Christmas together. Me, Mary, Trenton. After she died, the tradition continued, though it became less joyous. That changed with Ashley's arrival. For the past 2 years, they've preferred to spend the holidays with her family in Cleveland. I wonder what it will be like this year. Would Trenton invite me to visit? Will I accept the invitation? Or will we both spend this family holiday alone? At home, I go straight to the study, pulling an album of family photos out of my desk drawer. I flip through the pages looking at the faces Mary, young and happy, little Trenton in his father's arms, our family trips, holidays, ordinary days. When did it all go wrong? When did my son and I begin to drift apart? After Mary's death? Or even earlier, when I was too strict with him, demanding, unable to express my love in ways other than through discipline and instruction? I close the album, put it back in the drawer. You can't change the past. You can only decide how to move on. And it looks like I'm going to have to accept the fact that my relationship with my son will never be the same. Too much pain, too much betrayal, too much unspoken. 2 weeks later, I get a letter from Ashley's lawyer. She's demanding compensation for the money she invested in renovating the house on Crestview Drive, for the furniture she bought, for moral damages. She threatens a lawsuit, a public scandal, the whole truth about how I tricked her into taking the house away from her son. I call Arthur Sawyer, my old lawyer friend. He looks at the documents, shakes his head. Empty threats, Boyd. She doesn't stand a chance in court. All the documents prove that the house was bought in your name. The loan is in your name. The fact that the signatures were forged only makes it worse. If this goes to trial, she's looking at real time for fraud. So she's bluffing? Most likely, Arthur nods. But if you want, I can draft a formal response on your behalf, so she knows you're not going to be fooled by such tricks. I agree, and a few days later, Arthur sends a letter back. We never hear from Ashley again. Trenton, when I ask him about it the next time we meet at the cafe, just shakes his head. She always does that, he says tiredly, trying to intimidate, manipulate. I'm glad you didn't give in. Are you? I ask. Did you? Trenton looks out the window, at the falling snow. Too often, he admits. almost always. We continue to meet once a week, always at Martha's Cafe. Gradually, the awkwardness between us lessens. Our conversations become more open. Trenton talks about his work, about how he started seeing a therapist to deal with the issues that led him into such a destructive relationship. She says I had self-esteem issues, he shares, that I was always looking for approval, first from you, then from Ashley, and never learned to value myself on my own, without external validation. It hurts to hear this because I know my role in shaping these issues. I was a demanding father, stingy with praise. Always thought a man should be strong, independent, confident, and I never noticed how my expectations were weighing on my son, how they were building an inferiority complex in him. I'm sorry, Trenton, I say suddenly to myself, for being such a father. He looks up in surprise. What do you mean? I was too strict, too demanding, didn't know how to show love, didn't know how to praise. Your mom made up for it with her gentleness. But after she died, I stopped talking, trying to find the words. After she died, you were left alone with my unspoken expectations. Trenton is silent for a long moment, then nods. Yeah, I was. But you know, I never doubted that you loved me. I just didn't always understand how to fit in with someone you could love even more. His words are like a punch in the gut. Had I really let him know that my love depended on his accomplishments? That I could love him more if he was different? My love for you has always been unconditional, I say firmly. Always. Even when I was unhappy with your actions, even when we drifted apart, even after everything that happened with the house. He smiles weakly, uncertainly. Thank you for saying that. It was important for me to hear. At Christmas, Trenton invites me to visit after all, to my old house. I hesitate, but eventually agree. It's a strange feeling to be a guest in the house where you've lived most of your life. Trenton hasn't changed much about the interior, just added a few of his things, a few new pictures on the walls. We cook dinner together, like we did with Mary years ago. Trenton is doing well in the kitchen. Apparently, life without Ashley has forced him to learn some basic skills. Washington, I'm thinking of selling the house, he says over dinner. Too many memories, not all of them good. I understand, I nod. What are you going to do then? I don't know, he shrugs. Maybe move to another city. Start fresh. The thought that Trenton might leave St. Mary's hurts suddenly. Despite all our problems, despite the betrayal, he's still my son, the only family I have left. You can always come back, I say quietly, if you want to. He nods, but I can see in his eyes that the decision has already been made. He'll be gone, and maybe it's for the best. There are too many ghosts of the past in this town, too many whispers behind me, too many reminders of mistakes made. After 2 more months, Trenton does sell the house to a young family with 2 children. Gets a good price. Real estate in St. Mary's has always been at a premium. Informs me he's found a job with a technology company in Portland, Oregon. Moves in 2 weeks. We meet one last time, again at Martha's Cafe. This time the conversation flows more easily, more freely, maybe because we both know it's goodbye. I'll call, Trenton promises, and come back for the holidays if you don't mind. I'd be glad to, I reply, and it's true. When we say goodbye as we leave the cafe, he suddenly hugs me tightly. I love you, Dad, he says softly, no matter what. I love you too, son, I say, feeling the stinging in my eyes. No matter what. He leaves the next day without stopping by my house. Maybe it's easier for both of us. No more goodbye scenes. No more words that won't glue the broken vase of our relationship together anyway. I'm alone in my big house on Crestview Drive, a house that has come to symbolize my loneliness, my pride, my stubbornness. A house that I'll be paying off for years to come, probably for the rest of my life. But the strange thing is, I don't regret my decision. Yes, the price was high. Yes, I lost a son, at least in the sense that fathers usually expect to be close to their children in their old age. But I kept my dignity, my principles, showed that you can't do this to me, even if you are my blood. I'm standing on the veranda, looking out over Lake St. Mary's. Spring is just beginning, but I can already feel the warmth in the air, the first flowers in the flower beds. A new season, a new chapter. I am alone but not lonely. I have friends, I have interests. I have this house that is slowly becoming truly mine, and maybe somewhere in the future, there is a possibility that my son and I will find our way back to each other. Not as close as before, but more honest, more mature. In the meantime, I will live my life, accepting loneliness not as a punishment, but as a price for being true to myself, for not compromising my principles, not forgiving the unforgivable, not pretending that nothing happened. Sometimes truth is worth more than comfort. Sometimes dignity is more important than family ties. And sometimes justice brings not joy, but only bitter satisfaction that you did the right thing. That's my choice. That's my life now. And I'm willing to take responsibility for my decisions, no matter how hard they are.